Digital. It is the Paul Breakfast Show. Full casting this morning. We just heard from Paul Richards with our news brief. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, who is still down in Togo. We'll hear Richard Ragobarsingh, who is still at Cipriani College. We won't hear from Ruben, who's washing his car. My name is Steve Khan in the studio. We're going to keep you company until 9 o'clock this morning. All right, quickly, let's get straight into it. Let's see what's happening on the highways and on the byways at this time. Yep, it's beginning to build. All right, approaching Piarco, you got it. Trinidad City towards UE. And then from Valsain to Barataria, a bit of volume heading into Port of Spain as well. Take a look at the Solo/Uriah Butler Highway. Let's head down San Fernando, make our way up north. Nothing to tell you about in south. But you're going to get traffic just after Freeport heading to Sugargonas and Charlieville in a port, to the interchange. And of course, Kelly Village, you've got some traffic there this morning. All right. What's the weather going to be like for today in Trinidad and Tobago? It is 25 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 24 at Crown Point in Tobago. And today, yep, copy and paste yesterday. Yesterday was a scorcher. My car read 36. They say it's going to be generally sunny, slightly hazy, and at times breezy conditions despite the low chance of a brief isolated shower. A relatively mild concentration of Sahara dust is present in our atmosphere. All right, let's use Sanders. Hello, first thing this morning on this Monday, the first day of May. It is indeed. Ooh, lots of messages here. Let's see. All right. Ken E., good morning to you. First off the gate, followed by Chris says, good morning, neighbors. Rabbit, Mother's Day, Mother's May. Have a great day, everyone. Trevor Narima. Chris Doucet, good morning, neighbor. Godzilla in Valencia. DJ Ray out in Tampa. Oliver Man Warren. Salim Abdullah. Good morning, Trinbago. I am a Trini by birth, dual citizen by choice. All right, thank you, Salim. D. Pierre, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, also says rabbit. Carol Guevara, good morning. Let's see. Mo Gaines out in Aruca, CJ, New York, Maria Marva, Ms. Maloney, and Rena Bodo Jennings. Good morning to you as well. All right, and before I bring Paul and the rest of the guys. Toronto, you're at 5 degrees. Port St. Lucie, you're at 17. Frank, Miami, 20. Orlando, 18. New York, you're 9. Atlanta, you're also at 9. London, you're at 14. Mostly cloudy. Yeah, big celebrations going on this week, the coronation. Tampa, you're at 19. Washington, D.C., you're at 9. So let me say good morning to you, gentlemen. Good morning to you, Paul Richards. What's shaking?
I ain't about gentlemen. Good morning.
Oh, geez, he started already.
Brenda's not here yet.
Yeah, he said he's still down in Togo. That's somebody down in Togo this weekend. Sports and Family Day. The PNM is down in Togo this weekend. I heard there was traffic galore heading down that road.
Well, this is a small road.
It is a very skinny road. And of course, it's quite bad. You know, they did the paving from Valencia to that main road, whatever. I don't even know what you call that road, but oh my God. I understand it was quite a shoddy work by the contractor. And of course, another contractor had to come and redo it. Next set of dollars, taxpayers' dollars to do that.
One has to be she's asking if you're in a new studio, Steve. You have to force him into a new studio.
Yeah, I'm in a new. You like it? You like it? You like it, Sabita? You like it? Mm-hmm. Ray out in West Palm Beach. Ooh, Palm Beach had some tornadoes. Had an F2 tornado on Saturday afternoon. It really made a bit of a havoc. Marcia Rock, good morning to you, Marcia. How are you? Thank you so much for logging on. Yeah. Yeah. Sabita, you didn't tell me if you like it.
You had a great weekend. New month starts today. Or
Yeah.
started.
Today is May Day, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah. And of course, on Thursday, all Star Trek fans, that's the day they come out, Ruben included. May 4th be with you. You like that, huh?
What's happening on Tuesday?
May 4th. You're not a Star Trek fan like Ruben.
Well, I'm not a junkie, but
May the 4th be with you. That's,
okay.
yeah. Ruben is a junkie for Star Wars, you know. A junkie. I like Star Trek. You know.
Well, I like both, but I ain't a junkie. Anyway, good morning,
Ruben
everyone.
is a junkie. So
Weekend
good morning to you,
was
Paul Richards. How was your weekend?
it was quiet, quite quiet.
Was it? Okay. I was busy, no tail.
Mm-hmm.
I catch my aunt, uncle, and Nene to get up this morning.
I wonder why.
Oh, I went to bed late. Went to bed about 11. I shouldn't have gone to bed at 11, but I was watching a movie. So, there was nothing on TV, so I decided to watch a movie. And relax a
Lots
little
of
bit.
um, lots of political meetings this weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The PNM on their platform, on their stage in Toko. And then the UNC had a public meeting.
Well, they kind of launched their new headquarters.
Yeah.
Where was it? Their new headquarters in
I have no idea where it is. Let me see if I
I don't
can.
know where it is. Well, they launched the new headquarters. Let's put it that way. And put their councillors and all the men on election footing for local government election.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I think most of the parties are doing, you know, quite frankly. Good morning to those of you on our streaming services. We stream every Monday to Friday from 6 to 8 a.m. And we invite you to share the live on your with your Facebook friends,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, on your platforms, and of course those who are on LinkedIn and Amazon Live. We thank you for joining us every morning so you can see us as well as hear us on the Power 102 FM.com
Yeah. All right.
online and
The
through the
new,
Power 1 app.
the new headquarters is at 31 Mulchan Suchan Road in Chaguanas.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where it is.
But we didn't hear the Prime Minister didn't name the local government election date as we suggested he may have last week. Well, the big news happened on the weekend is, of course, when we came off the air, Friday was a disaster for school children in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. We're going to chat with the president tutor in 5 minutes' time.
And I just,
Sending the invite now.
someone is clearly
What was the final count in schools? 55 or is it more?
I don't know, but I mean, one school is too many. So 10 schools,
Yeah.
20 schools, 30 schools. Someone clearly wanted to disrupt and destabilize the place.
Yeah, because Glenn and myself had to visit one of the sites here on Friday, and we passed by around the Savannah by QRC, and I said, "Oh, look, all the kids outside, man. They must have a drill." Not knowing, you know,
What was going on?
what was going on.
Someone clearly wanted to disrupt
Yeah.
and destabilize. Clearly.
But for what I understand is that so the schools immediately went to their muster points and leave their school bags and lunch kits and everything. So today a lot of parents are going to go back to the school to grab the lunch kits.
You know, they were going all weekend.
Yeah, but some weren't allowing them to get in some schools. So
I don't know. It's just really unfortunate that I know they're dragging the children into the nonsense too.
yeah, Well, let's see, Paul. Maybe that should be our morning poll.
What?
Let's see if the cybercrime unit could track down this IP address and bring the perpetrators forward?
Well, they've said over the weekend in several news reports that it's going to be very difficult to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, I don't know why we don't try to get back cybercrime legislation to try again. They tried before, but it failed. That doesn't mean we can't try again.
Yeah, we're in 2023. I think that unit should be up and running big time, full force with all the equipment. And could I understand the IP address where the email originated from, wherever it is, bounced all over the place, which made it difficult.
Well, they
So,
use the VPNs or whatever they use. It's just such a. Every time we think we can't slip any further into the abyss, we slip further because now we're targeting children and their safety and well-being.
mm-hmm.
Without any concern, whoever it is, whoever decided to do that. The prime minister kind of commented, but he didn't kind of comment it. He commented on it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend. Speaking of which, let's welcome Mr. Lumpkin. Good morning, Mr. Lumpkin.
Hi, good morning. Are you hearing me
Yep,
clearly?
we're
Loud and
hearing
clear.
you.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
President of Tutor.
You're welcome.
We
Thank
were
you for
just
having me.
chatting about the schools and what happened. And it was the last day for some students at some schools, right? At schools that sit in exams,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but that
understand
people were killing it.
they also had orals taking place on that day.
This
So
is
the
CSEC Orals.
Girls.
CSEC orals, yeah.
All right. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. First of
Good
all,
morning again.
what time did you hear about the bomb scares on Friday?
Could you repeat? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
What time were you alerted to the bomb scares happening on Friday?
We were alerted roughly about 9:30 or so. We were visiting a school, Cunupia Government Primary School. The Ministry of Education is looking to re-establish the school for the blind, and they were looking at placing the students in different parts of the country, depending on their geographical location and so we were at Cunupia Government Primary, one of the schools earmarked for the inclusion of the special children. Um, and so at that point in time, we started to get the text messages and the WhatsApp messages because our second vice president has a WhatsApp group with the district field officers. And at that point, we were getting the messages about the bomb scare. Different schools, one by one coming in. I think she got Presentation College, Bonus, and several other schools at the time.
Do schools have drills in these circumstances?
Yes,
Have a prescribed actions, responses?
yes, the majority of schools would have their protocols in place whenever they get any information on any threat, bomb scares, and so. So they would go through the drill of evacuation, having the occupants go to the muster point, taking the roll at the time because they have to account for each and every person on the compound. While that is going on concurrently, they would contact the TTPS, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, as well as the fire service, those who are authorized. And so they have their protocols in place. There's supposed to be the crisis management team at each school as well, which will, different persons on that team have different roles to play. And once that is alerted, once there's an alert in terms of any threat, then the crisis management team will kick in and each person perform their individual duties.
And the schools receive emails, not telephone calls.
I understand it's via emails. I heard, and we can't confirm that some of the schools got telephone calls. I cannot confirm that, but the majority that we know would have been the emails. And I would have actually seen it is a typewritten piece of correspondence that the person would have scanned or taken a picture and emailed to the schools.
How disruptive was this? Of course, many schools that actually received the bomb threats evacuated, but I guess did other schools also evacuate as precautionary measures because of how widespread it was?
Only the schools that would have gotten the emails would have had the protocols taken kicked in. I understand that some of the the threats to some of the schools it went to the junk mail, and if you don't check it regularly, then you wouldn't know. So for those that it came on a regular mail, they would have followed the protocol. Or it's only as the news started to spread that some of the schools would have checked their email, double checked their email, and even checked the spam or the junk mail, and that's where they themselves would have gotten the threat and would have done the necessary.
Who also respond to the education ministry at that time? Because many of the schools would have reported to the education ministry.
Yes, and the education ministry, through the supervision department, would have advised the necessary personnel, the administrators and so. And you would have seen the communique sent out by the minister, the communication department, in terms of that piece of correspondence, but also the press conference that the minister would have had as well too. In some instances, the reports we were getting is that it wasn't clear as to the instructions in terms of dismissal. One of the things we pointed out is that when you have the protocol taking place and persons have to go to the muster point, the widespread, the amount of schools affected, it would have stretched the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the Fire Service thin. And so they could not have visited all the schools at the same time in order to clear the schools. And you had these persons, whether in the hot sun, under trees, whatever, but waiting to get the necessary clearance. And the Ministry of Education in the past, the near past, have been to us eroding the authority and the autonomy of some of our administrators. So when you have to dismiss school, you have to get permission from the CEO or sometimes the director of school supervision or even some of the supervisors. And this takes some time in order to get the dismissal. So when you have these,
Even in a circumstance as urgent as a bomb scare.
yeah, they had to get the permission of the ministry in
So,
order to
so,
dismiss it.
so while they evacuated the schools and sent the students to muster points, I'm presuming they couldn't actually dismiss school for the day.
No, they couldn't.
Okay.
They have to get the
But they
permission.
evacuated the schools.
Yeah, they evacuated, and so you have one of the things, Mr. Richards. When you have all of these persons in the same area, they are like sitting ducks. Now, if the threat in terms of the persons want to carry it out, and they know the muster points, you send um you send a threat. They are assembled by the muster point, and if the persons know where the muster point is, they could actually put something there that could cause quite widespread damage to persons.
But that's taking it a step further.
Yeah.
You're implying here that we should be taking more precautions. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, that we should be taking more precautions. So
And what are those
even
precautions you think?
right, so even on a daily basis for at least the secondary school, we have the school safety officers, we have security officers who can even check these muster points on a daily basis to ensure that there's nothing untoward there. Because if there's an emergency and you have to evacuate and the persons have to go there. So one of the protocols for the daily um, whenever we occupying, that should be one of the things that they do. They check these muster points and make sure that it's clear. However, in terms of if we have widespread panic and so on with these bomb threats again, that the principal using their discretion should be able to, if they realize that the authorities cannot come in a timely fashion, be able to dismiss their schools and so have it, now we understand it could cause some chaos as well too in terms of contacting the parents and having them come to the schools on a timely basis. But still, our principals, our administrators should be given that autonomy to use their discretion in order to do that in the future.
Particularly, I'm presuming in dangerous situations, have any additional measures been put in place? Well, some schools are on vacation now, or no? The exam
No,
students are out.
yeah, some
What
of the
if Are there any additional measures being put in place for school this morning?
As far as I know, well, administrators will be a bit more vigilant because of what had taken place on Friday, and so they don't want to have to be scrambling in the morning. So I know they will check their emails as such, but they will also be liaising with their supervisors and have the necessary checks being made with the security and school safety officers. So I know they will be vigilant this morning based on what would have taken place on Friday.
Were all schools that received threats swept by law enforcement?
Yes, they were contacted or they were visited, depending on the manpower of the different districts or the different TTPS zones. Um, some were visited and asked to dismiss, and some would have been eventually would have been visited by the TTPS.
And uh, was any counseling suggested for students who may have experienced emotional distress because of what happened?
Yes, I know if there were visible distress or even any children reaching out, the administrators would reach out to the Student Support Services Division to have persons visit and do the necessary counseling.
And the teachers, were there any reports of distress by the teachers?
I haven't gotten any reports. I can check on our districts this morning because you can appreciate, and I know it's another topic that will come up soon in terms of the Belmont Secondary. Both the second vice president and I, when we heard about the incident, we were in Central and we rushed up to Belmont. So we weren't able to get actual feedback as such in terms of the stress and so, but we will be looking at it this morning.
But there were reports on also I saw a report, a parent, I think it is, complaining about the fencing at Belmont, one of the Belmont schools, and
Yeah.
the security risk there. Can you comment on that?
Oh, Mr. Richards, um, I visited the school just after the incident, well, probably a couple of hours after, and met with some of the teachers there. When we arrived, the TTPS were on the compound and they had their high-powered rifles. I know they were there to protect, but actually witnessing, seeing all of these personnel with rifles and so, I felt a bit, surreal kind of way. But I could just imagine in going there what the occupants, the administrators, the educators, even the students would have gathered. And in speaking with them, they have been telling us that the perimeter fence on the Lady Young side of the compound, there are breaches in the fence, and reports have been made quite often, and nothing has been done about it. And we suspect that's where the two persons entered the compound from the Lady Young Road side, and they were going to the back where the farm is, and that's going towards the Belmont side where St. Francois Girls and they down that down that area. And the school safety officer who was making his regular patrol saw them. At first he thought they were students and he was confronting them, what you doing out of class kind of thing, only to realize that they weren't students and one was brandishing a firearm. And that is so, traumatic for him because one of the other person was telling the one with the firearm will pop him in his head. And, he had to explain to them and actually beg for his life. Now, this was in close proximity of a class that was taking place, a full class. And the some of the teachers did see the two persons and would have alerted the authorities. And that's, they eventually went to the back, broke through the fence to get out, and they left. And that to me is an indication of how serious it is in that area. We call it a hot spot. And we are, I've said this to our functionaries, and I am saying it in the public domain. We are fed up. Enough is enough. We
Well,
understand. Sorry, Mr. Richards. And I think you're
Paul, Paul, you're on mute.
yeah,
Has
the
the
mic is
education ministry responded and in any more affirmative way in terms of trying to deal with that situation, given all this incident with a gun brandishing person?
this the well, when we arrived there, the school supervisor three was present speaking with the acting principal. Um, we don't know what took place over the weekend. One of our industrial relations officers will be there this morning to guide our members, to guide those on the compound, because as I was saying, we are saying enough is enough. We are fed up. It has to stop, and we have advised, and we will be carrying out the refusal to work based on this security of what is taking place, because of that the serious nature. You have also there's supposed to be two school safety officer. We understand that one was removed, the most senior school safety officer was removed and placed in another school. So you have half the complement of your school safety officers. There are supposed to be four security officers based at the school. When we arrived, there were three, and the administrator was telling me that's a normal thing. Sometimes they have down to two because of what takes place within the MTS system, where if a school doesn't have a safe security officer, they will take from there. But we are saying that four is not enough for the size of that compound. You should have more, at least six or seven, because you should have regular patrols around the
But
schools.
isn't the Belmont police station right there?
Next
The
door.
Belmont, yeah, it's next door, and hence the reason they were able to respond in a quick manner. Um, However, um, you want to at least have on a daily basis the amount of complement of support staff for the teachers to feel safe. Now, I pointed out as well too, this has been happening for a number of years, and the teachers there, the educators have been under these conditions, and we are saying that is enough. Ministry needs to find. We understand the issue of the economic situation and the distribution of the finances. However, when the government needs to do something, they will find the resources, they will find the money. We are saying this is serious enough to find the money. Let us strengthen the perimeter fences. Let us make sure that they are safe and that teaching and learning can take place in a safe and secure environment. And especially, in this time where any threat, you can have to take it seriously and can't take it lightly. We are saying time to protect. What are you waiting on
How
for
long have
some?
reports of that fence breach been made to the being made to the education ministry?
I understand is years. If you can
Yes, he
recall,
said.
yes, if you can recall, there were, and I could recall one incident of a vehicle coming off the Lady Young Road and almost ending up on one of the buildings of the school and would
A
have
truck. I remember
rammed the
that
head.
truck flipped over.
I
And
heard
I do
about a
believe
truck
that
that flipped.
individual died in that crash as well.
Yeah, and since then we have not had that fence being repaired properly. Hence the reason anyone can enter from the Lady Young side, and to me it's quite chilling.
Well, now
I
I think especially it was dangerous before, but now with somebody coming into the school with a gun and threatening to kill someone, I think that to me signals an even more urgent situation. Mr. Duncan, in closing, anything you want to add, given what
Before,
happened Friday?
yeah, and before you go, how many schools, I'm talking fence wise here, need repairs?
I can tell you, not Success Laventel, the other Laventel school, they for years their perimeter fence has been breached as well too, um, and there are quite a bit barrack poor that we know of. What we intend to do is to get all the names of these schools because we are really fed up at this point in time in terms of security, and we will get that information to the Ministry of Education. Already, they are supposed to have that, but we are going to remind them that these are the schools. And if it is sufficiently proven that they are threats to our schools, we will remind and advise our members that they need to take the necessary steps, albeit the refusal to work as well, because we don't want to have to say that, somebody lost their life because of this. Um, it is overbearing now, and
That refusal
we
to work,
need to
when do
do
you intend
something.
to put that in, and when will that become active, and in what particular school? Is that Belmont School alone?
No, we are calling on all on on the ministry to ensure that all schools are safe, all perimeter fences are fixed, and the complement of security officers and school safety officers be assigned to all of the schools.
So the refusal to work will apply to all schools?
No, the refusal at this time, refusal to work will be based individually or in terms of the individual and the situation at the schools at this time. So if we feel that there are other schools where there's a sufficient threat to life and limb, then we will advise such.
Right, Mr. Lumpkin, thanks a lot for being with us and taking your
Yeah.
call on short notice. Please be
Thank you
safe,
so much.
And students and teachers be safe also. Thank you so much.
And keep us posted.
Very much. And thank you for we continue to monitor the situation. So whenever you need to get updates, please feel free to contact me.
Absolutely. Thanks for making yourself
Thank you.
available, and be
All
safe.
the best
again.
to you.
Thank you very much, and all the best. Thank you.
Good.
That was
Good.
Martin Lumpkin, the president of Tutor, talking about the bomb scares on Friday, and also the perimeter breach at Belmont, the Belmont School, and the measures they intend to take. Wendell is trying to log in, but I don't know if he's on Chrome, because Richard got in seamlessly as usual. Good morning, Richard.
Yeah. Morning, Rich.
You're muted.
Not
I
hearing
think.
you.
We're not hearing you for some reason, Richard.
Yeah, you unmute. You're not
Sometimes I
muted.
have to check my mic again and re-establish the mic, so maybe it's that.
Oh, the wheels are turning in Richard's head. Yeah.
That could take a while.
Yeah. I'm on Chrome and I'm getting you guys.
Yeah, if you're not on Chrome, you're not going to get it, Wendell. If that may be the issue.
Try Safari, Wendell.
How am I now?
I'm loud and
I
clear,
don't know.
sir. Good morning.
You don't know.
Okay. So
Try
you see,
it
I know
again,
how to
Richard.
figure out- I know how to figure out technical stuff quickly. So I just want to say good morning to all our listeners, wherever you are. And I want to say a special happy birthday to Glenn Davis.
Today is Glenn's birthday.
Today is Glenn Davis's birthday. So I just wanted to say happy birthday, Glenn.
Happy birthday, Glenn. Long time.
At some point today, I'm going to try but I'll try and call him at some point today to wish
Is he
him
still acting?
happy birthday. He does. He has been doing some stuff. I know he's been doing some film stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's always ready to go on stage. And even though anytime I call Glenn, I always say, hello, is this the home for retired actors?
Wow. They booked you a spot yet?
Yeah,
And
you're
always-
trying to get in, Richard.
No,
Knock, knock. I'm trying to get in.
Of course, he always curses me. In Glenn's own style. Let me put it that way. But yes, it's Glenn's birthday today. So happy birthday, Glenn. Yes. So all of the. But I wanted to say also a special thank you to all of the people who came to Cipriani College over the weekend to the play. This Little Piggy is Tired. So thank you so much for your support of theater. And of course, now we go to San Fernando on the 20th and the 21st of May. So South, your tickets should be on sale from, I believe from tomorrow. You'll have tickets on sale at our usual outlets in San Fernando, which of course will be K Squared in Gulf View and Gulf City, and K Squared in C3 Center and Prince of Marabella, the roundabout. And of course, Creme Fresh in Brentwood Mall in Shogunas. Always there. Shogunas is always a midpoint where people in Central Trinidad either go south or they go north to theater. So those tickets will be on sale from tomorrow.
Going back to that, those two issues with the schools, the heinous attack on schools, because it's an attack on schools. When you have a bomb threat in a school, it's an attack on a school.
Mm-hmm.
And the disruption it caused and the distress to children, some of whom were writing orals and other exams. And also the situation at that Belmont school that, according to Mr. Lumpkin and the parent that I saw on social media, they've been reporting that for a long time. I mean, what could be more important than a school perimeter?
Well, I don't know, boy. I can't fathom that to begin with.
I don't know. I just, those things kind of real piss me off, if I can use that phrase. Because that Belmont school, Belmont can in some people estimations can be considered a hotspot. That school, that access from Lady Young Road is a dangerous access, although the police station is nearby. But now they have a gun toting assailant coming into the school and threatening someone, and the person having to beg for their life. I mean, I would have had a team there over the weekend fixing that. I mean, but I guess public service protocols are what they are. There are people, children in the school, and teachers, and principal, school supervisors. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes, it would have been. It was a very unusual occurrence when that happened on Friday. It was kind of like crazy. And,
Yeah,
and well, you just hope the only way to stop something like that, really, is that you have to find the perpetrators,
and also,
so that people will know that you will be
according to Mr.
caught.
Lumpkin, the fact that the complement of security persons had been reduced. I know this is a resources issue, obviously, but I mean, ain't nothing more important than the safety of children.
Yes,
I
one
don't
would
know.
think so. Yes,
I don't know. It's just really,
but I
really
mean, because you used to have these kind of. I mean, bomb threats to schools is nothing new. Even when we were in school, you used to get it. But of course, back then, it used to
It's a
come from a
different
phone
time.
call.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it used to
different
come from
time
a
now,
phone
though.
call. Yeah, now it's a different time. You send an email,
It's a
and
different time.
It goes with the times, yes.
yeah, it just and for the number of schools that would have gotten that email. So I sincerely hope that the cybersecurity unit, and I assume they're probably working in tandem with the international partners, to try and locate and find out who did it. Because certainly, I mean, international partners would have, I assume, even more sophisticated equipment to track that down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got some, according to Mr. Lumpkin, some schools got phone calls and some schools got emails. But it was clearly well coordinated and planned for a while, and it's really unfortunate. The Prime Minister had some implications on his delivery yesterday. He says that he asked a question if the reporters thought it was a coincidence that a motion of no confidence was brought in the House against the Minister of National Security and that happening on the same day. But I guess you'd have to have evidence to make those connections. Well, I would hope those connections, those suggestions would be supported by evidence. I mean, one can presume anything. I don't know. It's just really unfortunate. You see, when you're dragging students into it now, also, it's really, really unfortunate. So, hi, do you have newspapers?
No, well, we do. Just a second.
Well, I don't know what that means. Well, we do. Is it yes or no?
Yes. Oh, today's the 1st of May. Yes.
Yeah, hold it.
So it's the beginning of a new month, and so I can do the Daily Express. I told Wendell to try a different, to maybe try Microsoft Edge. I don't know what browser he's on. Maybe he's on Chrome and he's getting problems.
I don't know. He said he used the phone before. He didn't confirm he was on Chrome. This system needs Chrome, which, right, I saw Wendell, your PP just turning here disappear. So I don't know if it means you're making progress.
We just saw you,
So
Wendell.
Express.
So whatever you did, we just saw it. All right, so the Daily Express for this morning, and on the front page of today's Daily Express, foolish race talk. PM blasts pundit Kambla for divisive crime comments. That's the main headline on the Daily Express. Foolish race talk. Other subheadlines: Ula, not my tea party. Not so sure what she's referring to. And Ayana cops OCM prize at Bocas Lit Fest. And of course, that's Ayana Lloyd Banwo, author of When We Were Birds. So she's on the front page, a beautiful picture of her on the front page of the Daily Express. So all of that is on the front page of the Express. And now I'll just go to the back pages. And the main story on the back page is what exactly? Capital gains. Leaders AC Port of Spain beat Rangers and stretch TTPFL lead. That's the main story on the back page of the Express. In fact, there are no sub-headlines. That's basically it.
All right,
So
let's
now
move to the news. You know, it's May 1st, Monday. Yes, Brandon, I think it's the internet speed. That clearly is what it is. Newsday front page, a picture of Dr. Rowley proposes end to service commissions. PM rejects stand your ground law, says it can be used to commit legal murder. Not an oxymoron, legal murder. Kamala stand your ground to remove PNM. CEO accused of running Superior Regional Corporation like a parlor. MSJ laments plight of workers. THA 45,000 salary for Tobago tourism chairman. Minority leader wants to meet head of Tobago police, and bandits steal rum, cash, and cell phones from Komoto bar. Right, I'm seeing him here now. Whether he am. Good morning, Wendell.
All right. Am I being heard?
Yep,
You're
loud
being
and
heard.
clear.
You're not being seen.
Oh,
You're being heard.
it's been pressure. No,
But you
no,
want
no.
to be- you want to be
I'm
full-
not going to risk the camera. I'm not going to risk putting up.
Double palm probably has a firewall.
I want to be from what?
Double palm probably has a firewall.
I'm actually still up. No, I'm still up Toko. My voice is a mess too.
All of that from the PNM.
I talked my liver
family
strings
yesterday.
out in PNM Sports and Family Day yesterday.
It was in Toko.
Oh, I talk whole day. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Toko, you didn't feel the country tip? Did you feel the tip in the country? You didn't feel the country lean to one side?
No, but I heard about the traffic.
Was the road to Toko much better now? When
Oh, well, I don't know. Oh, yes,
doing-
especially
we're doing
the
papers or we're
Valencia
not doing
stretch.
papers?
They did a lot of work on that area. Yeah, you and your red jersey, you know, anti-PNM, so
We're doing papers or we're not doing papers?
we can't talk about PNM. What is jail I hear, man?
I
We're
say,
doing headlines.
are we doing papers or we're not doing papers?
Let's
I didn't say
continue
any
with the
such thing.
headlines.
are you finished with what you were doing, Paul?
Right,
No,
go
I didn't. But I was asking if I should continue.
Okay, with a lot of attitude, proceed.
after
I was just asking
after I talk about the PNM, you could continue. No,
ahead,
after I talk about PNM, you could continue.
Gentlemen, we have to run the headlines. We're going to be very late.
Go ahead. Tell me when to continue with the papers.
All right,
Go ahead.
go ahead and do.
You sure?
Go ahead and have your way. I thought you were coming up. I thought you were coming up yesterday. Why didn't you come?
And then the front
All right,
page of
good.
the Guardian.
Thank you, Paul.
Deliberate scare tactics. PNM stunning claims at PNM Sports and Family Day. Links bombs threats to UNC no confidence motion. Hits back at pundits' crime comments and announces plans to dismantle Service Commission. So you see, we still have a way to cause of St. Jude's
How
fire.
can you
still
dismantle
not-
service commissions without the support of the opposition?
Well, he said he's taking it to Parliament, but that's his plan. He didn't.
But
he
Service
can't
Commission-
dismantle without his- Sorry.
But service,
Yeah.
service commissions are part of the Constitution, not so?
Yes, it is. You will have to get 3/5, I think.
You'll have to get a certain percentage.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he said by 2024. By 2024, he said.
So maybe he intends to lobby the opposition. So those are trending stories in your Guardian Express and Newsday for today, May 1st.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Before we get into this morning's poll, let me give the
But I have
results
no
of
question. You better think of one.
from Friday. All right. Let me just get the poll here. I did a refresh.
Maybe we could say, do you think the bomb threats, based on Dr. Roddy's suggestions, are linked to the no confidence motion. Would that be too much?
That's a good poll.
But it's on the front page of the Guardian.
Yeah.
Links bomb threats to UNC no
Mm.
confidence motion. So let's see if you agree with that suggestion.
All right. Well, let me give you the results of the poll on Friday. Friday, we asked you, do you think that Pandit Maharaja's comments were racist? That was our poll on Friday. The results are in. A lot of votes on this poll. 51% said no. 51 said no. All right. Let's go to the poll.
Well, UNC people voting online. Man.
So the poll this morning would be centered around what the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian has with regard to the Prime Minister's references to the bomb threats, where he linked the bomb threats to the UNC no confidence motion. So I suppose the poll could be, do you agree with this? How to phrase that poll, boy?
Yeah,
Wendell?
how to phrase it?
Keep it simple. Do you
With
think
the,
bomb
with the
threats are linked to
opinion.
no confidence motion?
Do you agree with the opinion?
Do you agree with the opinion of the Prime
Yeah,
Minister?
that's yeah. But
Yeah. Do you agree with the opinion of the Prime Minister that the bomb threats are linked to the UNC no motion confidence?
No confidence motion. Yeah.
no confidence motion. No confidence
sorry.
motion.
No confidence motion. I'm reading badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 222-8255, toll free, North Americans, 866-525-1099. Of course, on our YouTube and on Facebook as well. Lando, good morning. Leonard Nightfall, good morning. Fu Warner, greetings. Good morning to you all. All right. Let's check our poll. Good morning to Chris Toussaint. Happy birthday to Glenn Davis. Trevor Narima says yes. Stretch says yes. All right. Give us a message on our message board as we have news coming up in 7 minutes' time. Maraval on the road says yes. Ambi says yes to the poll. Renu Budu Jennings says yes. Ken E says hell no. All right, 222-8255. Eddie, absolutely yes. Thank you, Eddie. All right. Toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's our numbers directly into our studio. Our morning poll once again.
Do you agree with the suggestion by the Prime Minister that the bomb threats are linked to the UNC vote of no confidence?
All right, let's grab this call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. This is Big Eye.
Hey, Big Guy.
I call that grasping for straws, and I say absolutely not. No.
All right, thank you, Big Guy.
All right.
Have a good one. Ardent listener says yes. Beefy Smith says no. Michelle, good morning. Michelle says yes. Frank also says yes. Jennifer, morning, Jennifer, yes. GB in Trini City, yep, says yes. Meb, yes, I do. Carol Guevara says yes. And Carol, Wendell is in a place he does not want to put his camera on. Wink, wink. I'm just saying. All right.
I just came here with no t-shirts. I came here with vest and skivvies.
TMI. TMI. Lorna, good
And I
morning,
get
Lorna.
booked for a vest. I get booked for the vest last time.
Good morning, Lorna. I think Lorna and Indy and especially Carly went to the play yesterday.
Yeah.
So Lorna, they said no. Morning caller.
Good morning, Grandy. A big no.
All right, Grandy, thank you. All right.
That no before Grandy was one vote, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you mentioned several names, I was confused.
Yeah, they went to the play last evening.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. I tried to, but I didn't have time. All right, so 222-8255. Toll free, North Americans, just like Big Guy. 866-525-1099. You have 3.5 minutes to vote on our morning poll.
Is it up online yet, Steve?
Do you agree with the Prime Minister's suggestion that the bomb threats were linked to the no confidence motion? Yes or no? That's our poll. Yeah, that really had turned turmoil on Friday because parents had to leave work early and pick up their kids, and who had to get transport, and it was absolute mess. Ish out in Malik says no. Thank you, Ish. Of course, you can vote online on YouTube. I'll get it directly in studio. Invest on our message board via our mobile app and on our website at power102fm.com. All right?
So 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans toll free at 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you know what to do.
All right. Do you agree with the Prime Minister's suggestion that the bomb threats were linked to the no confidence motion? Yes or no? All right. That's our poll. Let's see. Any more votes coming in? Central Animal Lover. Good morning, my dear. Yes to the poll. Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona says absolutely not. He says this is a serious topic. Forget the politics. Kenny out in Harlem says yes. Piggy Ray says yes, definitely so. Good morning, caller. What says you?
Good morning, Steve. No way. My answer is no. No way at all.
All right, Dinsley. Thank you so much. All right. Minute and a half again. 222-8255. And our message board as well. All right. Do you think it's all linked to the no confidence motion? That is the bomb threats that happened on Friday morning. All the schools in Tobago got that. I forgot to ask Mr. Lumpkin because it was reported it was 55 schools. Some didn't know because the emails that were sent, the bomb threat emails, went in the spam. So some schools did
It
not.
went to spam. Yeah.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, Mrs. R here. Good morning.
Morning, Mrs. R.
Morning, my love. Morning, morning. Morning, Steve. My answer is yes. I think so.
Mrs. R, you in Toco still?
Hey, hi, Sugar. Hi, Wendell. Where is it?
You say if you're in Toco still.
No. But Wendell, oh my God, my body is mad.
Are you?
Dude. It's what, sorry? I
He
can't
was
hear you.
Yeah, he was asking if you're in Toco, but he
Chris.
he having a little technical difficulties.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, no.
Our internet providers are so wonderful.
Dressing for work right now. Oh my God.
All right.
All right, booze.
All right. Of course, you can vote online on our mobile app or our website, Power102FM. And of course, we'll give you the final results come tomorrow morning. Again, a poll. Do you agree with the Prime Minister's suggestion that the bomb threats were linked to the no confidence motion? That So our poll, all right? It'll stay up for the next 24 hours, shy of a couple of minutes. Shy of 15 minutes or so, all right? That will be our poll. Any more poll votes coming in here? Okay. All right, Gregory is in. So let's get into our 7 o'clock major news, which starts right now.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Twitter says while the Education Ministry followed protocols in dealing with last week's bomb scare to more than 55 schools, more needs to be put in place to treat with issues of that nature. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the government will not support the opposition's proposal for stand-your-ground legislation relating to home invasion. And the Commissioner of Police responds to Tea Party claims. Details in a moment.
Affected, it would have stretched the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the Fire Service thin, and so they could not have visited all the schools at the same time in order to clear the schools. And you had these persons, whether in the hot sun, under trees, whatever, but waiting to get the necessary clearance. And the Ministry of Education in the near past, have been to us eroding the authority and the autonomy of some of our administrators. So when you have to dismiss school, you have to get permission from the CEO or sometimes the director of school supervision or even some of the supervisors. Same area, they are like sitting dogs. Now, if the threat in terms of the persons want to carry it out and they know the muster points, you send a threat. They are assembled by the muster point, and if the persons know where the muster
Dr. Keith Rowley says the government cannot support the opposition's proposal of stand-your-ground legislation being brought to the parliament. The opposition claims this legislation is necessary due to an increasing number of home invasions. However, speaking at the PNM's Sport and Family Day on Sunday, Dr. Rowley admitted these are difficult times in which citizens are living. However, he pleaded for the population not to engage in any practice which will make it any more difficult. The Prime Minister spoke about the implications of the passage of a similar legislation which was passed in some states in America and efforts now taking place to reverse it.
The crime for picking a mango in somebody's yard cannot be being shot to death. And if you follow that law, like the Defense Secretary position and the Homeland Security position copied from America, right now in America, when they have passed that law in some states, They are trying their best to get that law off the books because some people who hate other people are using that law to kill those people like they kill flies and cockroaches. You are wrong. The PMM will never support that.
The Prime Minister said he has also been a victim of crime and he provided details on the ordeal.
And the superintendent picked up a sheath or a dagger 8 inches long that was left on the ledge. That man who I charged at my bedroom door was carrying an 8-inch dagger. Had he not thought secondly and jumped out, you would not have seen me today, and I would have been a statistic, and he would have had nothing to do with race, my religion, or my class. So I don't want to hear any foolishness from the Pundit Socorro or from the opposition leader, because she has laid the groundwork for a kind of problem in this country that I want to ask them to stay away from.
Staying with news of politics, the United National Congress says it is putting its house in order for the upcoming local government election whenever it is called. Speaking at the UNC's 34th anniversary and opening of its new headquarters on Sunday, political leader of the UNC, Kamla Prasad Basassa, said the opposition remains confident it can rescue the party or rescue the country from many of its challenges, adding it has the track record and experience. The Member of Parliament for Siparia said the new headquarters is being leased and will be maintained and funded by contributions from its senators, MPs and councillors.
This is not costing $100 million. We are here at this level and we will be able to maintain this property here. We are renting, we are leasing the property. It is always cheaper to lease than to build. And how will we fund it to maintain it? Well, I want to thank all the elected officials of the UNC. Every month, every senator, every MP, every local government council alderman, every month they In international news, a South Korean art student ate a banana that was Now for a look at the weather forecast. For the period today until midnight, Trinidad and Tobago predominantly sunny and breezy at times despite the odd brief shower. Tonight will be fair. A relatively mild concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere. Seas are moderate with waves up to 1.5 meters in open waters, below 0.5 meter in sheltered areas. The forecast maximum temperature for today, 33 degrees Celsius in Trinidad with a high of 31 degrees Celsius expected in Tobago. Currently, it is 27 degrees Celsius in Piarco, 26 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. And now to recap the headlines. Tutor's Head says while the Education Ministry followed protocols in dealing with last week's bomb scare to more than 55 schools, more needs to be put in place to treat with issues of that nature. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the government will not support the opposition's proposal for stand your ground legislation relating to home invasions. And the police commissioner responds to Tea Party claims. Well, that's what's making you news to this hour on Power 102 Digital. I am Gregory McBurney. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Alrighty, 11 minutes after the hour is 7 o'clock on this, the first day of May. Good morning to you and welcome to the second hour of the Power Breakfast Show and Power 102 Digital. Richard Ragobarsingh, Wendell Stephen, Paul Richards, and myself, Steve Khan, keeping you company until 9 o'clock this morning. All right, that's when Sir Charles pops in. Yep, we call him the fearless one around here. But let's get into the results of our morning poll.
Well, our poll this morning was, you have more votes?
Richard, take it away. I didn't write.
Yeah, we have Leonard said no. Leonard Naipaul said no. So that's, get add that to your list.
All right, so our poll this morning was, do you agree with the suggestion by the Prime Minister that the bomb threats were linked to the no confidence motion? We had 26 people voting on the poll this morning. Of the 26, 17 of you said yes, you agree with the suggestion of the Prime Minister, and 9 of you said no, you do not. So 17 said yes, 9 said no, and of course you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, throughout programming, and we'll give you the final results come tomorrow morning, which will be Tuesday, the 2nd of May.
Did you all see this on the weekend?
Yes. Big fight at Taharqa International Airport.
The artist known as Trinidad Killer got into quite a fight with two people at the Taharqa International Airport. Now the fight was bad enough, which started in the atrium. What was worse to me, that there was no sign of airport security for quite a while the fight traversed outside the airport while we welcome visitors to this country. Where was the airport security?
Busy making sure people weren't parking when they're not supposed to park.
Well, that's exactly what I told somebody yesterday.
Yeah.
Making sure that they don't park on the way outskirts while a fracas is in the main atrium. In some things that's supposed to be as high security as an airport. The fight at time traversed the atrium into outside and continuing, and no sign of airport security for quite a while. I just like, really? Where's the airport security?
This should have been on it within seconds.
So imagine a visitor coming into the country to spend a wonderful bit of time with their family and coming into Trinidad and Tobago to see three of the nationals fighting in the atrium. I guess that's welcome to TNT.
Who
With
was
all the
Killer
crime
fighting?
reports you
Who
hear.
was Killer fighting when?
I don't know.
2 guys. One guy and then one guy decided to join the fracas.
I don't know.
Was that really Trinidad Killer fighting in that video?
Yes, from what I can see, yes, it was.
Yeah. For what we've heard.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
Oh.
I don't want to play the whole video. because
Drama
that's-
just continue to follow him.
Yeah. Reduce the level of your mic, Wendell, just a little bit.
I'm actually just walking around trying to search for a proper internet connection because every now and then it's coming up lost. So yeah, you all will have to bear with me as much as I'm trying to bear with it. Right? Thank you for understanding. It's almost like the crowds that came to the PNM Family Day yesterday. They just had to
They
endure.
were all searching
traffic
for,
for
they were all
time.
searching for a signal.
If what?
They were all searching for a signal and direction. Is that what you were saying?
They were all searching to try to get or find a way up to Toko yesterday. I understand thousands of people had to turn back actually.
Yeah, I heard the traffic was...
Yeah. You know, it was always going to be a logistical nightmare, but it all went off well at the end of the day.
Is the Togo port coming?
I don't know.
Did we do the results of the poll?
But I could find that out for you. I have to go to General Counsel later. Maybe I'll raise that.
No, I thought as the meeting was in Togo, they would have given an update on the Togo port. And wasn't there a Togo port supposed to be being built in to be a new ferry point to Tobago?
Yeah, been here for years.
Yeah, I don't know what's the update on that. I really haven't heard anything lately about that for a while, so. But I can find out, as I said.
The Minister of Works and Transport told us
later. And what I do know is that the Prime Minister put us on election footing for local government elections, which is what I expected. So I suspect anytime, either today at General Council, it will probably be raised, and then I think he said by Tuesday, he's going to start asking for constituencies for nominations for local government.
But I had a conversation with an individual at a regional corporation, and they said they have no money, and they have one rinky-dink, small little truck, but they have no money.
Yeah, I guess if you speak to most municipal corporations, they'll have that same complaint. The issue of funding, which has always been an issue in local government. Always. So let's see what happens with the upcoming reform and this upcoming local government elections. Because everybody who going in there now going in there full time. You're not going in there part time anymore.
That includes aldermen too?
I don't know what's going to be happening with the aldermen, because aldermen are generally like advisors to the council. They would not have contested the elections, because but I suspect it will also be that way. But I will wait and see what's happening with that.
Unbelievable. And that sign that I keep talking about right in front of Movie Town on the southern side, which tells you Carnage, Diego Martin, Chagaramas. Yep, that's completely covered by a shrub. But nobody in the corporation would see that and say, right, let's deal with that, cut that down. It's just a bunch of bush. Nobody sees these things. You just drive by.
I didn't know there was a sign there.
Exactly. If you don't know, you won't see it at all, huh? You won't see it at all. But nobody sees that.
What I don't understand, as you're talking about the road network in that area, I don't understand the Diego Martin overpass that they're building. Maybe I need to be from the area to understand it. I have no clue what they're doing there.
Yeah.
And I have no clue, furthermore, as to what they're trying to alleviate. So, of course, I say that with no offense to our Western listeners, that I think McCoy needed an overpass more than you all needed an overpass in the.
Yeah, well, I guess, Richard, you would be saying that from the perspective that you've never experienced that traffic coming out of the West on a morning.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't have and even when you're passing there, because the construction is ongoing, I can't understand what it is.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
I can't understand what it's meant to do. If you were widening, for example, the Western Main Road, going into Carnage and going into Chagramas into a double highway, I understand that.
Right.
I understand that, because that road has always been an issue with so much entertainment activities that take place in Chagramas from time to time. And the road itself, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not great. But if you're widening that road or doing some enhancement and giving more lanes, I could understand that. But where they're building that new overpass in Dago, I have no clue. Every time I pass by it, I'm like, what is going on here? What is this meant to do? Where is it going? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, but remember, Richard, for that, I don't know that there's any possibility of widening that Carenage Road. What Mr. Manning had proposed back then was a causeway. Remember, running outside.
Yep.
You know,
and that causeway
from Port of Spain all the way down to Chaguaramas. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's take it
should
one
have been built since 2000.
All right. Well, let's
20
say
years
good morning going out to Gary Griffith. Good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How you going?
Fine, thank you.
Lovely.
Book
Welcome to the second hour.
says it better internet now. Oh, go ahead.
Wendell, how was your family day yesterday?
It's still going on. Trust me, I'm still in Togo, and I'm sure you felt the country tip.
Yeah, that 500 strong crowd you had was fantastic.
500 what? You was. Well, it's a lot more than the 5 people who walk in with you with NTA.
Wow. You can say what you want. That is
That's a low blow.
The trading of barbs. It's so Paul Richards. I was surprised it wasn't him that said it.
Yeah, but Gary need to book hotels with better internet.
I'm sure everybody wished that they would have made it to Togo yesterday. Gary, but you're welcome. I think you should just pack up that little blue ship you have there and just, you know what?
The color of anti-Maljo.
Good morning, Gary.
Well, Gary.
Let's get into it.
Good morning.
So our question this morning is: the Prime Minister suggested that the bomb threats on Friday may be linked to the no confidence
Gary,
motion.
he's also having internet problem. You have to go to one?
No. I wasn't invited. I wasn't invited.
What say you?
You heard the question, Gary?
No, I didn't. Sorry. Go again?
Yeah, Paul, say it again, please.
The Prime Minister suggested yesterday at the PNM family that the bomb threats. He asked if the report. I don't know. Richard asked the question. He's hearing you.
Gary, are you hearing me?
I am hearing you. Yes, Richard, I'm hearing you.
So what Paul was asking is that the Prime Minister yesterday at the PNM Family Day linked, but he's offline, so I'm not too sure if he's hearing me at this point. Why are people having such internet problems today?
I don't know what's going on today. I know Giselle is having a serious problem.
Could be that then.
I don't know. Right. Gary, you heard the question?
For some reason, he's trying to call me. I don't know why. Steve, maybe you should just call him and let's try it.
Yeah. If you could give me a call. I'm hearing you now, Paul, but it's coming and going.
All right.
Okay, you're hearing me now then. What you should do is turn off your camera to save bandwidth. That'll help.
Yeah, save bandwidth. Switch off your camera. Ooh, it'll be good for us. Is he gone?
You need to book better hotels.
Yeah.
There's inflation.
You're trying to suggest the man in a double palm somewhere?
I didn't say any such thing, Wendell Stephen.
Oh.
I did not say any or suggest any such thing.
Okay. I actually thought he was up to Togo because he appeared to be having the same problems I'm having. That's why I'm not using my camera.
Oh, wonderful internet. Yes, Gary.
Yes, gentlemen. Yeah. The question again, please. I didn't pick it up.
Right.
Paul?
The Prime Minister suggested when asked about the bomb scares over the weekend, he asked reporters if they thought it was coincidental. And he suggested it may have been linked to the UNC's motion of no confidence in Minister of National Security, Gary Griffith. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree?
I didn't get it. I'm not getting it. You have to call me on my phone.
Steve?
All right, Steve is proceeding to do that, Gary. Oh. We're experiencing some technical difficulties, so we are moving on to the...
I think he may be out of the jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to connect via telephone.
Yes, that unfortunate bomb scare issue over the weekend. I don't know why some people are now dragging children into
Wendell,
the
not
free.
picking you all up at all. It's coming, it's dropping.
We're hearing you, Gary. We're hearing you.
Well, but I'm hearing you at spurts and then I'm losing you. See if you can
Which
throw the
should ask the
question quickly
question?
to me then.
Which should ask the question?
Gary, with regard to the school bombing, the school bomb threats on Friday, the Prime Minister, the Family Day yesterday, seemed to suggest or link it to the UNC vote of no confidence in Fitzgerald Hines. What's your take?
Gentlemen, you'll have to call me on my phone. I don't know if you're hearing me. I picked up a little bit of it. I do have to agree for once with the Prime Minister to the extent that, in total contrast to the statement by the Minister of National Security, where he tried to trivialize it, which is what he does all the time, because of his inability to try to explain the situation and what he intends to do to rectify it, where he tries to trivialize it in the same manner when they had the situation with the shooting and the children. He said that the children were not in danger when they were lying flat on the floor. And in this situation, this was well orchestrated. When you're speaking about trying to get data and information pertaining to dozens of different schools, and that is why I made the statement that in total contrast.
Oh, we lost him again.
Okay, he's gone completely.
Because of political affiliation. If these persons are charged, if they are held and charged, they will be charged under the Anti-Terrorism Act. So how could you be charged under the Anti-Terrorism Act, but it's not seen as an act of terror?
So you are saying you agree with the Prime Minister that it might be linked to the UNC's no confidence motion? Is that what you're saying, Gary?
Oh no. Hello. Steve? Yeah. I'm trying to get Steve on my phone.
Okay. Right. Yeah, so you were saying? Are you saying you agree with the Prime Minister that it's probably linked to the motion of no confidence?
Oh, no, not at all. Just the opposite. What I'm saying is that it was well orchestrated. Nothing to do with the opposition. Listen, if West Indies lose a test match, Keith Rowley will blame the opposition. If it is that rain falls, he blames the opposition. I mean, it's getting ridiculous now. It is very petty. And then what happens, as you would have seen, Wendell, any comment that he makes, you'll have people like trained seals in SeaWorld clapping and applauding, and they will be blindly in support of it. On what grounds can you justify that it is linked to that? You can't. But what you're trying to do is, again, dog whistle to give the impression that this was something politically motivated and orchestrated by those persons opposed to the PNM. It is childish. It is unpatriotic. It holds no substance. But that is the one good thing with the PNM, when you see the same lie over and over, whether it is Emailgate, whether it is firearm audit, you see the same lie over and over and hope that the blind loyalists will blindly support it. There's no justification for something like that. We must work on facts. What I am saying is that this was well orchestrated because it was designed. This is not just a random situation where you just picked up one or two schools and you made these prank calls, but to try to get the information, it meant that there was some degree of organization made, and that is what I'm speaking about. But to just automatically always accuse anyone politically opposed to Keith Rowley as being the be-all and end-all of all that is evil. I mean, it is really childish, but that's the mantra of Keith Rowley.
So what then would you suggest was behind that email that went out to all the schools in Trinidad and Tobago? What do you think was behind it? If it's not political.
Try to explain or understand the logic behind persons who with evil intent. It could be based on testing systems. It could be based on just being mischievous. It could be based on just trying to destabilize a country. Many different factors. Trying to find the perpetrators should be the main goal. It makes it very difficult when it is that the PNM continues to dismantle elements that were put in place to deal with this. In the Commission of Inquiry into the attempted coup in 1990, the main thing that they spoke about to prevent any further act of terrorism in Trinidad and Tobago was the setting up of the National Operations Center. It was shut down by Keith Rowley. And that Operations Center was to ensure coordination, collaboration, and communication. Communication not just between the arms of the protective services, but to pass it on to the members of the public. You shut it down because it was a Gary Griffith or Kamala initiative. You shut down the system of the operational command center that we had. You shut down the national security alert state that we had. And all of these things can play a big part towards minimizing fear and properly pinpointing the perpetrators and to ensure that there's proper collaboration between different arms of the protective services. But this is what happens with Keith Rowley when you try to politicize national security. So it becomes very difficult for the law enforcement agencies to work properly if they operate in silos. But this has happened because of the shutting down and dismantling of things that were put in place specifically for such a situation.
The cyber crime unit, are they equipped enough to deal with this situation by themselves, or will they need to reach out to international partners in terms of getting down to who sent those emails?
Well, it can very well work. We don't know if it is that these persons were amateurs. It can be dealt with. But I've heard people trying to criticize our cybercrime unit. They are very good. They have the type of technology. If it is that international support is required, fair enough. But I would ask the public to just not try to point fingers at the cybercrime unit. Sometimes these things could come from a 13-year-old child in Serbia that just sent something just being very mischievous. These things are very technical. But let us just let the authorities do their work. But what I think, as I said, I want to re-emphasize, it is unfortunate that you will shut down and dismantle specific things that would have been beneficial to assist the agencies in pinpointing the perpetrators.
How soon, I mean, obviously to prevent something like this happening again, you would need to make sure that people can be held accountable for it so that it prevents future acts, because you would know, okay, you will be caught if you were to use that methodology. How confident are you that the perpetrators of this act are going to be caught?
Well, not very, because as I said, there were a number of them. Remember when we had kidnappings, we never had a situation with kidnappings before where the kidnappers were actually being held. But because of the type of technology that I acquired for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, from access into the dark web, from pinpointing certain things that can be used through mobile phones, messages, and so forth, it was the first time Trinidad and Tobago started seeing kidnappers raids being taking place whilst the kidnappers were holding the victims and the kidnappers were arrested. That is what put an end to kidnapping in Trinidad and Tobago, because of the type of technology that I was utilizing, and the kidnappers didn't know where we were coming from. That is why in that period when I was commissioner, the kidnappings became non-existent, home invasions and all of these things, because the criminal elements realized, wait, I don't know what is happening now. That's where a few moments later kicked in, because there was technology that we had that made it easier for us to be able to pinpoint the perpetrators and to pinpoint exactly where they are and what they're doing. Unfortunately, after I left, thanks to Mr. Jacob, I don't know whether it was based on instructions against...
So are you suggesting that...
Hello? I'm not there. Am I suggesting?
Are you suggesting that the technology no longer exists?
Yeah,
that the technology no longer exists?
That is why you're starting to hear kidnappings and home invasions and all of this. Several of the type of technology that I was utilizing were shut down because it was told this is a Gary Griffith thing. And the data is there. You'll recall several kidnappings where we were actually apprehended the kidnappers whilst they were holding the victims. That never took place before in this country. Home invasions, you raid a home, and within 2 or 3 minutes, a police vehicle will be there, because that type of technology assisted us in what is known as predictive policing. And it's the same type of technology that could and would assisted the agencies in pinpointing the perpetrators in this aspect. But again, Keith Rowley, sometimes when you see here...
But Gary...
of doing what is right, the technology is there.
It's kind of preposterous.
Plug on everything because it's not a PNM thing. And who's suffering now? The country.
Wendell, you have a
But it's kind of
statement?
preposterous to suggest that the police would shut down something like that because it's a Gary Griffith thing. It's kind of preposterous to suggest that.
That is what happened. I just gave you the names: the National Operations Center, the Operational Command Center, the Dark Web, all these systems. Oh, it is. But I just told you it's not preposterous. It happened. I'm just. The National Operations Center is no more. It is not being used for what it was designed for. The Operational Command Center, the Commissioner's Command Center, the GPS tracking on the police vehicles, the technology that we were using towards pinpointing and monitoring things in the dark web and dealing with predictive policing. It happened, and that is why it is not coincidental that under my watch people felt safe, and it was 342 murders in my last year, and now it's over 600. That is not coincidental, Wendell. These are facts. If you do you recall as well, over 23 people were also fired by Mr. Jacob. Several of them were also instrumental in that type of technology that was being used to assist us in this type of investigation.
But that's akin to shooting yourself in your own foot. I mean, I can't even. I mean, I'm hearing you, but I refuse to believe that the police service, our state, would stop technology like that.
Yeah, but Wendell, that's what happened. Look at the walkthroughs, the scanners. We had the scanners to be able to to use on the ports to be able to pinpoint and target illegal weapons. They pull the plug on that as well. But you see, this is what happens where politicians get involved and they realize, look, if we use this equipment, just look at the St. James Barracks. We have a hockey turf, an AstroTurf, and they refuse to use it because Gary Griffith built it. And because of that, hockey has been dead for 2 years, and that is the only artificial turf in the country. That is what happens when we play politics, and it affects the country. So, I mean, you have heard it from 2010 when the government changed. The PNM complained about it with the OPVs and so on and so forth. But 2015, it was the same thing, because when it is that, as minister, when I set up the National Security Special Operation Group, the National Operations Center, the Energy Sector Security Initiative, the E999 system, the Rapid Response Unit, the Security Training Academy, the PNM shut down everything. And then when I left as Commissioner of Police, from the Emergency Response Patrol, the NOC, the Operational Command Center, the Dark Web, the technology, all of these things were also shut down as soon as I left. It is petty politics because you figure, look, he's no longer there, they are no longer there, shut it down because it will make them look good. And that is what we have to endure. Look at the diamond vessels. I acquired diamond vessels that cost $1.2 billion less than the defective OPVs. They refused to touch it for 7 years and then acquired hostile vessels to do the exact thing that the diamond vessels could have done. That is petty politics, gentlemen.
Are the diamond vessels still in use?
No, they're parked there. Anybody who goes down the islands, you'll see it parked up there as an ornament in Stobles because they refuse to use it because the PNM did not purchase it. That is what kills the country. So when you have a prime minister going up on a platform making ludicrous statements about you do not want to work with Kamala and Gary because of I don't want to work with people who may commit crime. I want him to clarify the comment. Is he trying to say that Kamala, Prasad Bisesa, and Gary Griffith are criminals? He also made, and again, trying to refuse to work together. When it is you have a situation as a leader and you decide to put petty politics before what is right for the country, it means that you rather see the nation drowned in blood than to swallow your pride because your ego and your arrogance and your hatred and your bitterness takes priority. That cannot be right. And you can't be using cheap excuses. He made a statement and said, I have good grounds not to meet with Gary Griffith. Gentlemen, up to now, Keith Rowley, do not be a coward. Stand firm. There's a saying you can't be half pregnant. If you have good grounds, say what it is. But don't hide like a coward in Parliament that you try to do with the audit and the court chase you like a dog and told you can't do it. Say it in outside Parliament and give your grounds. There's no grounds. There's no justification. But it is what happens when it is, I see hate, I see bitterness, I see a man totally out of control when he cannot have his way. So you rather see the country drown in blood because you do not like Gary Griffith or Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And you have PNM people clapping like train steels in SeaWorld in Toko yesterday, applauding this. That is amazing, Wendell. And the same Keith Rowley, if he changes his mind tomorrow, the same people will clap and say, yes, I agree with you. Trinidad and Tobago citizens, we must stand up and have a mind of our own. You cannot just be blinded that a political leader will say left and you go left. You change your mind next year and say right, you go right. That is what we're in this country, blind political loyalty.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, I hear your perspective, and your perspective, I mean, you have made clear before. So I don't want to re-navigate that issue. But from a general political stance, Trinidad and Tobago has had this problem that when administrations change, the incoming administration sometimes discontinues projects that the population generally thinks that this particular project has value, but the incoming administration changes. And it's not a PNM thing. It's Trinidad and Tobago political thing.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of citizens, it's like we are bewildered why that happens. And because ultimately for the country to move forward, there has to be a plan that everybody agrees on some level, or general consensus on certain key points of where the country is moving forward, so that no matter who gets into power, there is a trajectory that the main political parties have agreed on. They may tweak in different directions, but this is where we are going. How, speaking to you now as the leader of the NTA, what's your perspective on Trinidad and Tobago politics in that regard?
Well, definitely hit the nail on the head. I mean, again, I will continue to say that I will continue to be a patriot before being a politician. And that is what I did. As the Minister of National Security, I saw the value in the OPVs. Yes, granted that the 3 OPVs, if you type BAE/corruption, you will find 17 countries that took BAE to court for paying kickback to government officials. So the cost of the BAE was 800 million for each vessel. We were getting it for 400 million from Korea, Israel, and Colombia. But the point is, I realized the value of what Patrick Manning was doing with the OPVs, and that's why I acquired the Damen vessel for $1.2 billion less. You know why? Because I took out the corruptive aspect of it. But I saw the value. Likewise with SORT, the Special Anti-Crime Unit. I saw the value of SORT. That is why when I became the Commissioner of Police, it was not accidental that I named the unit the Special Operational Response Team, SORT. So that is where I am different. I will ensure that if I see something that is good from the PNM, the UNC, the ABC, the XYZ, my job is to win. I play to win. I don't play the politics. And when you play the politics, you lose. The country will lose. And that is why when I operated as the minister, it was not coincidental. It was the lowest number of serious crime in 31 years. When I was a commissioner of police, it was the highest reduction in violent crime in 25 years, because I play to win. My winning is not by playing politics with national security, but we continue to do so because we are blinded so much we get blinded by this person is on the other side of the fence. Look at what Keith Rowley is doing right now.
I don't want you to go back down that road.
You are hearing the opposition.
Right that horse, right that horse.
So petty, so bitter. You're saying, I don't want to meet with them. That is where arrogance comes in, because of hatred for political opponents takes precedence over doing what is right for the country. The enemy could not be seen and must never be seen as your political opponents. The enemy are those who deprive the law-abiding citizens of their constitutional right to safety and security. And that is how I will continue to operate.
All right. Well, Gary, this is where we have to leave it this morning. I want to thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right. All the best to you. Be safe.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Of course, that was Mr. Gary Griffith speaking with us here. And of course, let's introduce our new guest, Paul.
Good morning. Let's welcome economist Taharqa Obika. He's a former UNC senator. And well, let's start with the most pressing thing that we ask as our... Good morning, Taharqa.
Yes, morning, Senator Richards. And Steve Pan.
Morning, Paul.
Richard Ragobarsingh, and of course, to my brother, Akwaba.
Akwaba.
Morning, Taharqa. First question this morning, of course, you could respond to the first question. Of course, we were already speaking to you about the issue with the pundit in Arang West later on. But of course, more pressing news has come out now. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has suggested that there may be a link between the bomb scares and the motion of no confidence brought by the UNC in Parliament. Your response to that?
Well, the Prime Minister is one who never lets governance get in the way of politics. So he would know what he was doing there. He was basically playing politics with the safety and security of our children. And it's unfortunate that we have a Prime Minister that excels in politics, but fails when it comes to governance. The signs are all there with the education system. Sorry that our children in the nation had to go through that. The political leader and the opposition is on record as abhorring the reprehensible attack on our nation's schools and our children in our nation. And to even suggest that a former Prime Minister who herself in a tenure as education minister is responsible for the de-shifting of schools in this nation and ensuring that every child had access to a full day of school at secondary level is, of course, in itself something that it shows the Prime Minister's aim at, as I said, not letting governance get into your politics. Instead of fixing the problem, of getting to the root of the bomb threat and fixing the problem that we need to have alternatives in the event of any similar occurrence during the CSEC and CAPE examinations, instead of bringing solutions from a point of view of governance, because he's in charge of the government, he chose to get politics to focus on politics. So he, as I say, he doesn't let good governance get in the way of petty politics. Now, regarding the comment on the pundit, I see that the newspapers have reported the Prime Minister's assertion of some link with the statements of unfortunate statements of Pundit Satyanan Maharaj with the opposition. The opposition leader issued a press release this morning condemning the Prime Minister for that, because, of course, the opposition leader, by her record in governance, definitely would condemn any link to any ethnic group or any strata of our society, and sweeping generalization, as was done by Pundit Satyanan. So she condemns the statement by Pundit Satyanan, and any right-thinking human being in Trinidad and Tobago must condemn in the strongest terms possible those statements by Pundit Satyanan Maharaj. It has no place in Trinidad and Tobago. It should not have been said. It focuses on the baser instincts and the deep suspicions of generations past. And in a country that focuses on peace and stability, someone that ought to be attracting the attention of the police. You know, the police should get involved. Anybody who makes statements that could incite a population to the level that Pundit Satyanan did ought to be attracting the attention of the police. It is highly responsible.
In what way?
And it is bordering on even on inciting the population to violence. And I think Pundit Satyanan ought to be properly reprimanded with respect to what he has said in terms of justice. It is an injudicious statement. It is an erroneous statement. And it puts the Indian against the African in Trinidad and Tobago in a manner that is not acceptable under any circumstances whatsoever. And I detest the fact that we as a country have to be treating with an individual who has a public profile as that pundit making that statement. And it was clear all the groups came out against it. The Shabaka Kambon came out against it. Ivan Saba came out against it, and persons from the party, when approached by the media, also came out against it. The reality is that those statements have no place, but it must not be that should end there. What is required at this time is dialogue. Okay? If in fact someone at that level harbors those statements, made those statements publicly, you don't know what statements he is making privately. Okay? And You don't want to wait for it to erupt in some display of ignorance. We must call on the IRO to treat with this matter.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Right. We interviewed the pundit last week, and he said that those who did not hear the full context of his statements and the media cherry-picked, and I'm paraphrasing here, certain parts of it portraying him in a particular light. What's your response to that? And he is not a racist, because we asked him directly, and it is the parts that were pulled out conveniently, I'm paraphrasing here, that portrayed him in that light. And he also spoke to we should be talking about crime on the national level and not just curtailing it to Arangwes and the context of his urban youth statement and the East-West corridor. What's your response to that? It seemed like he was trying to walk it back a bit to me. I may be wrong.
Well, I think you may want to look at his Facebook profile to see if he really walked back or if he was walking in a circle. But many persons who've made statements that have incited persons to violence of a similar nature as the statement made by Pundit Sachinan also believe that they are not bigots, fascists, or racists. So the question is not if he believes himself to be a racist. The question is not about the essence of his being. Whether he's a good man or a bad man is irrelevant. It is the statement that he's made and the impact it can have on the population. That is the more important thing. You can be the most pious of individuals, but your statement can cause persons to riot. And the only reason why we would have dialogue with someone is if we believe them to be of sound mind and that they need to be brought to book, so that they need to understand the error of their ways and make corrective action. Because you have to remember, this is a man who is in charge of a congregation, okay? And you don't want copycat statements to be made by other persons, you know?
So do you think there's a situation like that? There's been a history of the country taking statements like that a bit lightly to me.
Sorry, both of you were speaking at the same time. I didn't hear.
There's a history of us taking statements like that, in many cases, too lightly to me. What do you think the response should be? I mean, you said it clearly earlier on, but getting law enforcement involved is one thing. But as a country, we don't necessarily, we're not strong on dealing with statements like that decisively, to me.
Okay, I spent some time in West Africa. And in Nigeria, there was the Boko Haram group, which is a very militant, separatist aspect of Islam. And is not mainstream Nigeria. It's not mainstream Nigerian Muslims. But because of their attacks on persons who were Christians in Nigeria, they became Christian militias and similar copycat movements in the Christian parts of Nigeria. And they basically, there's a state of everlasting conflict. If we allow one group in Trinidad, doesn't matter what religion, what geographic location, or what race they belong to, if you allow one group to get away with statements like this, or one person who can incite people to get away with statements like this, what you run the risk of is other persons taking defensive measures. What is needed at this time as a solution is the interreligious organization, as well as the different groups representing all the races in Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? You have the Emancipation Support Committee. You have the National Council for Indian Culture, who I see your colleague is has now been elevated to head it in the Senate. And then you also have the Chinese Association, the Syrian Lebanese Association, Portuguese Association, everybody. We need every hand on deck in this matter because we cannot afford copycat statements.
He has been widely condemned, though. He has been widely condemned.
And well, what doesn't help is when the Prime Minister now attributes those statements or links those statements, as was reported in the papers, whether in a loose way or in a direct way, to members of the opposition. So the Prime Minister as well needs to apologize for making that statement. It is not a healthy scenario.
Well, Taharqa, Wendell, yeah. I am, first of all, I'm in total how you would have condemned Pundit Satyan and Maharaj. I'm in total agreement with you that. But but I'm also saying the opposition. I mean, you. I don't know if you count yourself as representing the opposition, but the opposition, as far as I'm aware, they have not condemned those statements. I've heard nothing from the opposition leader or any senior member of the opposition condemning those statements.
Wendell, to be fair, Kirk Mayhew, who is PRO for the opposition, our newsroom spoke to him and he condemned and distanced the opposition from the statements last week.
But I think you have your answer there.
I don't know that Kirk Mayhew counts in a case like that.
Well, Kirk Mayhew is the PRO.
Well, the public relations officer of an organization is the public relations officer of the organization. So if the PRO makes a statement that represents the organization, and that is sufficient. The PRO represents the entire organization.
Well,
and he did so in his official capacity.
I have to tell you, Taharqa. But I have to tell you, Taharqa, you did a far better job than Kirk Mayhew did.
Well, I'm not keeping score on these things, but I must say that I was personally angered by the statement of Pundit Satyan. However, it is not best to speak when you are angry. So I waited a week. And then I put pen to paper to speak to what would be a possible solution. You understand? So the solution must come from dialogue, meaningful dialogue, and putting systems in place for if anyone in future decides to echo similar sentiments. Because the person could be anybody, it could come from any quarter, you know, it can even be from persons of different age groups, different geographic locations, feeling that they are marginalized. The bottom line is, we in Trinidad and Tobago have deep-seated suspicions, whether it's North-South, Tobago, Trinidad, East versus West, African versus Indian, then you have the different social strata as well. So whenever there is a potential for any type of strife, there needs to be open, honest, and dialogue that is focused on arriving at a solution to the problem. And the solution is not burying our heads and tapping up Pundit Satyan alone. You know, he needs to be spoken to by the police to understand what the laws of this country are regarding inciting people to violence. And he needs to understand what his responsibility is in this, because of the platform he has.
Violence and inciting persons to division. Are you suggesting there's a natural link between division and violence? I mean, there can be, but to me, to go this step, can you justify the violent statements in that?
The statements that Pundit Satyan made aren't two different statements that were made by persons in Rwanda when they put the Hutus against the Tutsis. It started off in that manner, speaking to the deep-seated suspicions, and this is just 1994, deep-seated suspicions of two ethnic groups. And it cascaded downward to hell from there.
So you think fanning the flames
result, over 1 million persons died.
Yeah. So fanning the flames of division can lead to racial strife and in some instances violence. That's what you're suggesting. Especially in the way that he did it. And you see, okay, when you look at the comments on Facebook under the article, the Guardian newspaper, or whichever newspaper it is that published that headline front page, ought to also understand their responsibility at this time to ensure that the dialogue takes place in the media in a manner that brings us to a solution. It is not healthy at all in the way in which it was just left. Sanitize the comments list? Well, I want to go broader than the Guardian. The Media Association, I feel, should also be part of this conversation. The media in general should sanitize the comments list? No, I'm not saying, well, I don't want to go into what specific tasks they should perform.
but I'm talking about the framework in which they review and couch their statements. It is important to really be very careful in the way we allow persons to become keyboard warriors in a cause that is not in Trinidad and Tobago's best interest. I look at some of the comments and I was very concerned.
Well, you can
I
be
was very
concerned. I
concerned.
mean, the Guardian, free speech has to be responsible, but we have to be careful when we ascribe responsibilities onto particular entities. Taharqa, we're out of time. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your contribution.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Taharqa. I think it's been a while since I've enjoyed listening to Taharqa and speaking with him. So thank you very much, Taharqa.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Of course, we'll head towards our 8 o'clock news.